We're back. I'm just waiting for the rest of the guys to join us for the new stream. There was a bit of an accident from my understanding. I don't want you guys to start any ridiculous internet gossip. Varn is not coming.
Do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
And yes, I waited all day to play that. But what sucks is we didn't realize the stream was down because the chat was moving. And
yeah, we need a better canary in the coal mine.
It happens. I was having technical difficulties all day with the earlier stream to the point where I had to do a call in. So the gang's all showing up, Brother Robert. So you were saying something, Kuba, before everything ended, and that's why we found people were talking about fires. You want to tell people about the fire in 2014?
The fires were 2014, and Kamala Harris was involved in maximizing the prisoner labor available for dealing with the fires that year, around that time. But one thing that I wanted to discuss was the way that while people on the right have this vision of Kamala Harris purely because of aesthetic and cultural factors, things like the fact that she's a Black woman, the fact that she's from San Francisco, Californian, Biden administration, they chalk her up as some kind of left-wing boogeyman and somebody that's selected clearly to drive the non-binary Antifa super soldiers to the polls. While J.D. Vance, by people on the left, is often interpreted as this redneck figure, this sort of Appalachian working class nativist type that's designed to move the more extreme parts of the Republican base. And I think that while there may be something there just in terms of the way the perception, not that Kamala Harris is far on the left or even J.D. Vance is that far on the right, but this view loses sight of the fact that both of these figures got to where they are not through the extremes of the party and not through a kind of ideological litmus test, but through establishment beauty contests.
Yes.
Whether it be Yale Law, whether it be working for Peter Thiel and tech venture capital. Famously, the first and most influential promoters of the Hillbilly Elegy were Amy Chua and her husband at Yale Law. Now, Kamala Harris, similarly, she was nobody until Willie Brown.
Did you just confuse Willie Horton? Luckily, no one is in our age bracket that's watching, apparently. But that's the funniest thing you've said in 4 years.
Come on. Willie Thornton, Willie, Bob Thornton, Willie Brandt, Willie Wonka, Willie Brown.
Willie Bob Thornton. Until Willie Horton. Yeah, and that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, she had to settle for the Willie that was willing to have her. Turns out Willy Wonka not interested in adult women.
Willie
said
Brown.
Willie Wonka.
Willie Nelson not interested in cops.
Did you just say Willie Wonka's not interested in black women?
No, I said adult women. I said adult
you
women.
said black.
I was not. I want it clear that everybody at Disney, at all of the major record studios and everything, Roald Dahl estate, I was not implying at all that Willy Wonka was racist, merely that he was a pedophile.
Pascal, you remember the Willie Horton, Willie Brown scheme?
Oh man, I remember the Willie Brown story vividly. First of all, Willie Brown, for those who are too young to know, was the player from the Himalayas. I mean, Jason knows because that's his stomping ground. But
Yeah.
Willie Brown was like Pimpalicious McDaddy amongst the black political class in San Francisco back in the day, and he made his way as a young lawyer, working his way up the political class through the California state legislature, and he accrued power, got into politics. He became a major power broker, and one of the people that he brokered power for two people, for Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom. He helped both of them throughout their politics. One will do some means, others through other means. I'm not going to specify.
And what's funny about this, Pascal? Can Donald Trump really try to call Kamala Harris out? Like, what is he gonna say? You two-timing hussy. Okay.
I mean, that's really one of the reasons why I don't focus too much on the Kamala Harris.
You and Cuba, man.
Because it's like, men get away with doing the same thing all the time to women, using them for sex. So somehow we're gonna judge this woman for allegedly doing something that men do all the time. I'm like, come on, man. It's I just find it a little bit sexist.
I saw some memes today.
Are you afraid to talk about this now?
I do not have. I tend not to moralize genocide, so I'm certainly not going to get on my high horse about how somebody, especially somebody who doesn't come from fourth generation petro slave money, what they need to do in order to get ahead in the cutthroat world of U.S. politics. But and let's face it, with or without a sexual dimension, the main type of advancement into the U.S. elite is finding some kind of patron who, for some reason, is willing to let you in, give you a seat at the table, etc., whatever you want to use as your particular analogy. But and there are different ways that you can secure that patronage. If you're a young woman, then you can trade on your charm, the same way that other people trade on either family connections, wealth, you name it. And frankly, I've seen a lot of cases where younger men, ambitious younger men, are picked up, get the interest of establishment figures that can promote them because of either a kind of narcissism where the young man reminds the older established figures, usually men, of themselves when they were younger. So it's partly a way to push past age and vicariously recapture a little vitality of youth. But also, sometimes it's like a really awkward gay crush. and like everybody knows it, and everybody has to pretend not to see it. So if you like, I don't know whose type JD Vance might be, but like,
someone was. I heard of the rumors that him and Peter Thiel are having some kind of weird, interesting kind of conversations, shall we say?
well, Peter Thiel, he's apart from just all of the evil ruthlessness and sociopathic decision making that comes from becoming that kind of billionaire in that kind of economic sector. He's famously weird. He's the one with the blood boys, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the
And
blood boys?
he believes that regular infusions of young blood will keep him healthy and increase his longevity. So he has, as a matter of record, hired a number of young men in the San Francisco Bay Area to just provide him, vampire style, with a continual supply of clean young blood. He was trying to develop a startup around that concept, but there's all kinds of health and medical regulations you run afoul of in doing what are basically recreational blood transfusions.
Kuba, why are you acting like you don't have Ewok blood boys for the fucking higher up moths?
My big issue is that there's so much sexism embedded in the concept of the blood boy. Why not the blood man or the blood person? Why does it? Are we doing the infantilizing as well as the embedded misogyny? Call me woke if you must, but frankly, I think that the blood of young people, male or female, is equally delicious.
Toussaint, you've been quiet, and are you excited about the first Black woman president? I saw some memes you've been posting about your excitement on saying you're with her. You guys don't know this, but Toussaint likes to model clothes. She designed clothes for years. She's got a whole line of pantsuits ready to go if Kamala wins. So Toussaint, tell me about your excitement for pantsuit summer.
And chucks and pearls.
And chucks and
Gotta have
well,
that. And
no,
sometimes
that's for
Sims.
the after. That's for the after party.
The Tims are for the black vote. I'm not excited. I've seen the memes, and they're pretty harsh. Pretty harsh. They're calling her the original Haktua girl.
Oh, wow.
That's right.
Mind you, that may help her, right?
It's going
got
to
herself
work.
a TV show.
It's going to
right
work the other way around. This is a dream come true. Look, I can't remember who I was talking to. I think it was my friend that's visiting. When we were talking about how people keep going, oh, well, she performed so poorly before. It's like, well, this isn't the same situation as before. And is this the perfect person at that time? It's an interesting time to be alive, in my opinion, to watch all this go down, because none of us on the screen were alive for LBJ's back out. Well, maybe Pascal.
I was born after the December. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't around for LBJ, but I like imagining being around for the abdication of the last czar. That would have been a great moment. But Biden somehow doesn't have Nicholas II energy.
No. No, not at all. Someone says Pascal was part of Nixon's black cap.
But yeah, one
Too
thing that's
strong.
going to be interesting about this election is the extent to which you have elements of the security apparatus openly pushing for Kamala Harris. The one thing that comes out of the alignment, one of the places where Project 2025 and the Republican platform most fully align, is the need to, purge and reform the FBI, which will go deeper. It's an entire Department of Justice thing. All of the people whose fingerprints are on any of the Trump lawsuits, well, if Trump is elected, they need to find new jobs. And that's also going to be true of the quote unquote woke generals in the military. All of the intelligence managers, all the intelligence executives, the leadership of the intelligence apparatus that signed those open letters describing Trump as a threat to democracy, American national security, etc. Everyone that implied that he was a Russian asset. All of those individuals, most of whom work or formerly worked in the intelligence apparatus or the law enforcement and security apparatus, well, their jobs, their careers are literally on the line. If you also have the ideological commitment to a particular kind of American state apparatus, one which celebrates diversity in its drone operators and black site water borders, then Trump is a really scary existential threat. If you believe that the war in Ukraine is essential to protect American interests or to keep the United States safe from Putin, then all of these motivations might push you in the direction of supporting Harris in ways that are not strictly permissible. But similarly, the Republicans have their own nodes of influence within the security apparatus, as well as the closest thing to organized militia, organized political militia in the United States. I'm not saying that the Republican Party owns them, but things like the Oath Keepers or the groups of so-called Minutemen that sprung up along the U.S. border, the Boogaloo Boys, all of these groups that have self-mobilized and self-organized are very responsive to direction coming from Donald Trump and the Trump campaign.
Pascal?
I think that's absolutely correct. But one of the things I think we have to realize is that how allegiant will Kamala Harris be to the foreign policy wish list of Joe Biden? Do you think that she's going to continue with the temerity demonstrated with the United States supporting of Israel policy, genociding the Palestinians in Gaza? Will she go full throttle with the U.S. war in Ukraine, which Cuba has already alluded to? I think that the way Biden's particularly wedded to the Zionist project is something that is unique to him specifically, and is not necessarily carry on broadly to the whole Democratic Party. And I don't think it would be surprising if she carries out that normal kind of democratic Israel hawkishness with a lighter touch on the Palestinian issue post Biden, because there's a lot of wiggle room there.
Do you guys? I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pascal. I'm sorry. Apologize.
Also on the Ukraine issue, I don't think she's going to be willing to pull out of Ukraine. But how much is she going to be willing to go as a pugilist against Putin? Because that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting to see.
My expectation is that, well, I've never seen any kind of strong foreign policy orientation from Kamala Harris. She doesn't seem to be particularly interested. She doesn't seem to have any real political commitments, as far as I can tell, beyond a nose for the next expedient step that'll take her up the next rung. I think that she'll go in knowing that if she gets reelected, that the most enthusiastic components of the state apparatus and the policy apparatus are going to be the ones that feel as though they've been saved from Trump house cleaning, and that their particular worldview has been saved from Trump foreign policy revisionism. So I think that State Department, the blob writ large, is going to be friendly towards Kamala. Kamala isn't going to be inclined to overrule them or replace them. And you'll have the same kind of muddling drift of continuing existing incumbent policies that we've seen over the last couple of changes in administration. I think that she'll want to back down a little from foreign policy overextension. I don't think that she'll be able to. A lot depends on whether Netanyahu is able to stay on in Israel, because so long as he's constitutes the leadership there, I don't think we're going to get any sort of durable ceasefire. And there's a lot of pressure for escalation in order to protect the Israeli regime. I don't think that there'll be that Kamala Harris will be much of a protagonist on Ukraine either. The issue will be settled on the battlefield, and it's looking more and more like the Russian advantage will be durable enough so they'll get to set the terms for the post-war. It's a matter of how long the United States, as NATO leaders, are able to spoil that, to prevent that from happening. But I think the writing is on the wall. I also think that from a foreign policy perspective, since so much can change depending on the outcome of the election, and so much of American attention is going to be poured in to managing the election results, you're going to have so much of the leadership class from coast to coast focused on their strategy for the election season, that may be the optimum time for actors like the Houthis, the Iranians, anyone who has a plan for a strike against American interests. That's the optimum time to do it. While the United States is distracted, while there are other considerations, just like Israel keeps getting hit around Jewish high holidays, it's election season that provides the best window for groups that want to take direct action against the United States.
It looks like we have an intruder at the gates. Oh my God, he's back. Just kidding. Hey, Derek.
Yo, Vaughn, what happened, Vaughn?
I think his internet's dead. I think he's paused again. Damn it. He came back on and he paused again.
Restream is a hater.
Just so people know. See, that's how cold it was. There
Yo,
it is.
Vaughn, what happened, Vaughn? Yo, Vaughn.
I wish I had a wrestling drop. I wish I had a wrestling drop for when the wrestlers.
So,
Dastardly Derek.
I'm back.
So with
So
the return of the king.
there's a couple of lessons here. One, don't come into a podcast angry unless you're solo. Two, learn the fucking interface because apparently I hit the wrong button and killed the entire stream. And three, don't upgrade your internet because since I've upgraded my internet, my connectivity has become shit and I now pay more for it. I'm very confused. So while I've tried to come back in, I've literally been kicked off by my fucking internet twice. Anyway, hi. By the way, the fires were in 2011. No, I didn't remember that. Yes, I had to look it up.
Cheers.
Just so you know what I did while I was cooling off trying to get my internet to work.
It was like this. Cuba Vaughn was like this.
The anger searching.
Trust your feelings, Vaughn. You know what's funny? People couldn't wait. People couldn't fucking wait to be like, oh fuck, Vaughn's gonna go on a Twitter tirade. You still should. Just write some horrible shit about me and my fucking whorish mom. I don't give a fuck. See what people do. They won't come back and watch this part of the stream.
No, that's a funny thing. No, it's funny because like the only person I've ever actually denounced publicly after being on their show is my former boss. So, and that's because he's my boss. Like you kind of have to hate your boss. It's like required. So back on the show. No, I don't. I just the thing is with Harris is she does feel. I mean, she doesn't feel unprogressive either. She just there's this period of Democratic candidates from like probably still, but definitely from the late 90s all the way to recently that like are ciphers that it's really hard to know what they be when you look at like their record. They're like, okay, so they did this terrible thing, but they did this okay thing, and no one really knows who they are. Harris is an exception in AG Free California. But it is kind of amazing. I mean, one of the things I want to ask you guys is, you know, somebody was asking me, well, you know, if we had an open primary, who would win? And I was like, well, you guys don't want a governor. You don't want to take anyone out of the Congress or the Senate because you're already losing a Democratic senator for an ethics probe, and the electoral map, at least in the Senate, is terrible for you. You don't want any of the people that the Democratic Party put tons of money in in the 2016 and 2020 elections, like Beto or Cynthia McKinney, because
damn, you pulled up Cynthia McKinney. You went deep in the.
Yeah, I mean, like any of those people. I mean, like there's this time period where Democrats seem really addicted to making big national campaigns over people who lost elections more than once. So it
felt like this weird.
I'd like to address something that Vaughn had said that he alluded to briefly, but it's very important about something that happened to the Democratic Party in the post-civil rights era, particularly that explains how we got to this position of why we have 40 years of Democrats presenting us people who have no ideology. Because one of the things that happened to the Democratic Party in the face of the success of Reaganism is that the only thing that became the Democratic Party's ideology was copying the Republican Party. That was what became the focus. The third way politics, trilateralism with Zabriskie, and during Carter, everything going on to, fusing, government with the private sector, all of the stuff that comes out of Clintonism, the Democratic Party loses any type of New Deal essence. Even Keynesianism goes out the window with the way in which the Federal Reserve becomes the center of monetarism. And what we fail to realize is that that's not simply because the Republicans won, haha. That's because the Democratic Party failed to give a damn about providing an alternative to the complete horror that was coming out of the Republican Party.
I think that with the first Republican administration under Ronald Reagan, you have the fundamental reorientation of, I would call it, it's an unfortunate term because it's a little loaded in English, but I'd call the Reagan administration a period of regime change in the United States. It's not that the party in power had changed or the government had changed or the individuals had changed, but through administrative reform, the replacement of cadres throughout the government apparatus, the movement of authority from the places that it had adhered under the New Deal to new areas, especially the policy-making NGOs and think tanks around Washington, the marginalization of unions, their complete institutional trivialization and subsequent destruction. All of this, together with the shareholder revolution, what Pascal was saying about the movement to the Federal Reserve as the citadel of monetarism, this was a fundamental reorientation in the way that politics operated in the United States, the way that the state functioned in the United States, and the way that the ruling class, together with the social structures that explained what policy debates were to the regular public, how all of them understood the goals and purposes of government. And even once the Democratic Party had regained its electoral majorities, rather than pushing back and trying to undo this regime change, the Democratic elites made their peace with it, found New York investment bankers that they liked more, made their deals with Alan Greenspan, and ran neoliberalism as enthusiastically as the Republicans. They've never come up with an ideological alternative because by the Clinton administration, it suited the Democratic Party, the political officials within it, the activists, the donors, everyone important, meaning not you, perfectly well to operate within the neoliberal framework. That's why we never got an alternative. And this is also the period of Tina, right? Like there is no alternative. The idea that the post-Cold War settlement was going to be permanent, and that's it. We're not going to entertain counter-systemic political programs, whether they be from the left or the right. Well, the Republicans figured out sooner, partly thanks to the figure of Trump, that the neoliberal regime, the juice is gone, right? You can't make it work again. And they're proposing something different. They're proposing a thoroughgoing change. They've thought about it. They've planned it. We have the documents. And the Democrats, for whom the existing system is working perfectly fine, right? They don't need to do anything other than win elections. Arguably, they don't even need to win elections because they fundraise so nicely out of losing position if Donald Trump is in charge. So, the failure, the absolute abdication of the Democratic Party to articulate an alternative is one of the reasons that we're at this dreadful impasse.
Derek Varn, you're muted.
Sorry, I was trying not to drop any more Coke bottles while Kuba was speaking. So there's a lot there. One of the things I will say is I do think this ideological shift in the party, in the Democratic Party, is old. One of the things that I like to think about is like all geopolitics really comes back to the end of World War II today still, and maybe we're finally ending that. And all domestic politics come out of the crisis of the 60s and 70s, which today looks a lot like, in the fact that, I mean, even like the parallels between this and 68 are both funny and tragic simultaneously. Like, so you got your tragedy and your farce at one time. But I want to pick up on, like, I do think Reagan created an opportunity for that section of the party, but the Atari Democrats, you know, they had an agenda pre-Reagan, and I do think we have to look at like people like Gary Hart and all that as precursors to Kamala Harris. The problem that we have right now is the identity politics as fait accompli of Democratic dominance is not working anymore. The primary growth rate for Democratic Party voters is people with graduate degrees. It's actually gotten to the point where it used to be like undergrad was predictor, but now it's like 55-45. So it's very odd to know where this is all going to go when this is, you know, what's at stake. And I feel like I don't have a lot to offer about Kamala. One of the things about her being a cipher is that a lot of her enemies think that she's going to somehow, well, former enemies in 2020, think that she's somehow going to be able to be pressured into being a more progressive president than Biden. And I mean, maybe these people have access to tea leaves I don't. But I mean, when I see Ryan Grimm talking about a Harris Sean Fain ticket, I feel like this nothing burger strategy actually works. Like it somehow does work. People buy it over and over and over again, and have bought it basically since the 70s. And it doesn't matter what her track record was. I mean, and it blows up in the Democratic Party face a lot too. I mean, like we can think of 1,000 Lori Lightfoots. Like there's been lots of them, but it's hard to know where this is going to go. And I think a lot of it's going to be signaled by who she picks as VP.
Speaking of that, Kuba, you have to go. We saw the bird circling, so we know that there's definitely going to be a beheading happening soon. Kuba, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry about the technical difficulties that cut into your time. Your thoughts are very important on this show. And have a good rest of your day, and tell the missus we all said hello.
Absolutely. She sends her best. Take care.
Thank you. Wrong button. That's been happening to us a lot on the show. Wrong button. Toussaint. VP picks. This is fun. You know, everybody gets to play pretend. Now, while you were picking out your pantsuits, or I'm sorry, designing your power pantsuits for power pantsuit summer.
That's right.
When you think about a VP pick, when you see Kamala with somebody, do you see her with someone white? Does it go with the cream-colored pantsuit? Can you not wear a cream-colored pantsuit because you're afraid of the tan suit fiasco that was Barack Obama's presidency? Who becomes her VP pick in your mind?
Really quickly, she can't wear a beige pantsuit because then she'll just look naked. So that's that. She'll just be beige from head to toe, and that's no good. But people are talking about Newsom is out automatically, right?
Why?
He endorsed her
From
already.
California.
Oh, because he's from California. He's
Yeah.
from Baltimore, isn't he? Or Maryland?
Well, that doesn't count anymore.
Okay.
the California washed all of that away.
Like the sins.
That's
What
right.
happened. Hey.
He was reborn, a Californian.
Okay, so you say no news. So who else?
No Buttigieg.
Okay.
That's just too much for the people.
She needs a white male Democrat from the South.
Aggressively white. Aggressively white.
Who's aggressively?
The guy from Kentucky, Bashir.
Okay.
He's got kids too. So I'm liking him. And other people were saying Pritzker. He's a billionaire, and I don't know if that speaks to the people right now.
He's from Illinois.
Pascal, do you have someone white in mind?
There's a guy out of the South. I think he's a senator. I forget his name. He's a Democrat. I have not thought of.
You haven't. Like Derek Varn, you also didn't care.
I haven't thought about it yet.
This to me sounds like you guys are naming professional dart players because I don't know these people either.
Dude from Kentucky.
Dude,
That's the dude.
I hope that's how it gets announced too.
Yep.
Kamala and dude. Don't be rude.
Perfect.
I mean, it does seem like you're looking for some exciting white man, probably, and maybe not. Exciting white man in the Democratic Party right now is basically like talking about warm spit, but you got to find somebody.
That's a fact.
I would guess it's going to be from the South or from the upper Midwest. I don't know that the South really it's very hard for me to see what exciting young white man would help Kamala Harris carry, say, South Carolina that she doesn't already get. Maybe that former governor. I don't know. I mean, we're all stretching here. I mean, one of the things I keep on being told that the Democrats have a backbench, and I'm like, who? How don't we ever see that? Why do they all? Why do they always just lose?
We got more backbench on this show than they have.
With this show, can we just admit that this show has the deepest bench? This is the deepest show in podcasting. I put Quinn against a lot of hosts.
Ooh.
And he's a red shirt. We don't even let Quinn start. And I'm not saying this to diss Quinn. I love talking to Quinn. Quinn is extremely intelligent. Barn, you talk to Quinn all the time.
Yeah, he's fun.
Yes.
I mean, can we just admit?
Yeah.
Ken says Tim Waltz.
Yeah, the Tim Waltz. I don't know, man. I've been thinking that there've been surprises, but Trump did like the thing that I figured I was like, if I was going to write a comic movie about Trump picking someone who's the most like him in Congress, in that I can't actually understand what their politics really is. He seems to say everything to everybody. Yeah. I would say JD Vance. And I was like, no, that's too obvious. Like, of course that wouldn't happen. That's out of a bad novel. And that's what we got. So I don't know, man. Maybe it is Tim Waltz, because we should probably go with our bad novel instincts right now. I mean, did you guys see the last 3 weeks coming? I mean, I've always thought that Biden wasn't going to be in the run for a second term, or make it to a second term one way or the other.
You and I have been talking about this since at least for the last 2 years. I didn't know Kamala Harris would be the pick, but it felt to me like, just wait, let this doddering old man keep pissing on his shoes, and we can throw anybody in. We'll throw the black broad, throw the colored girl in. Watch, we'll win with the colored girl. We'll rehash the white broads thing. I feel like this is how they're talking too in the room. We'll rehash, the one no one liked, and throw it on the colored girl. We'll give her the other chick's outfits as well, and everybody's going to lose their mind. Do you know how many people that I know that are apolitical that are probably watching this right now that have posted Kamala Harris memes? I follow on my social media that I no longer have on my devices. I literally just went on there today to post something that no one saw. And I saw Barbara Crampton. I don't know, Derek, if you know who Barbara Crampton is.
I know who Barbara Crampton is. I watch the same crappy movies you do.
All right. So Derek and I had the same crush on Barbara Crampton. Let's just admit.
Yeah, we've all seen Barbara Crampton topless many times.
Right. She posted an image that I stole because I thought it was effing hilarious. And it was as Kamala Harris as Captain America.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
Right?
And then I saw Trump as a boxer too. And I was like, man, AI memes are gonna make me hurt. I just
people I've said this before on the show about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris, if she's in the 90s right now, she's a character on Different World that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Right? To your point about what kind of person she is. Right? She gives tough on crime rhetoric, and she wasn't really she wasn't great by any stretch of the imagination. She wasn't Chesa Boudin as a goddamn DA, but she just didn't do a lot of stuff that people think she did because she didn't do much of anything. She's the epitome of a careerist in every sense of the word. And for a lot of people, she checks a lot of boxes. You want the identity box? It's not just that she's an attractive woman of color. She went to a black university. She is in the blackest, most prestigious black sorority. Now I'm gonna get all the hate from the rival sororities.
I wouldn't. That's a dangerous ground to walk into.
She might be the first Hindu president of the United States.
Hindu Negro. Varn, can you think?
I asked that, but why is Kamala Harris not Hindu? There's more likelihood that she's Hindu than she might be anything else because her father was probably not religious because he was Marxist.
I don't know.
She talks about growing up doing religious services.
She also talks about smoking pot with Snoop Dogg. She talks a lot of crazy shit that isn't real. Have you ever seen a woman dance?
I'm
I was like,
saying,
how the hell were you?
To her too closely.
How rhythmless are they in these black sororities that they let you?
Well, I mean, maybe we should be talking about the rise of Geopolitical figures because that's the one thing you get from J.D. Vance is he's got a Hindu wife. I mean, it does seem like, starting with Bobby Jindal forward, that seems to be the Indian Americans are the richest demographic in the country. I mean, seriously, they are the richest demographic in the country. So it does make some sense that we'd see a lot of these figures as, establishment POC. That said, I mean, Kamala Harris checks a bunch of boxes. I venture to say, like, if she wins, it would be because of negative partisanship.
Yeah.
Because unless, and who knows, man, I feel so weird trying to predict anything these days. Like at this point, I'm almost like there's going to be a third candidate hidden somewhere. She's going to somehow win the presidency that none of us saw coming. Because that's how weird this election cycle has been. But I doubt if she did win, it'd be hard for me. Like, those cipher figures become unpopular the moment people have to actually deal with them, unless they are incredibly well spoken and diplomatic. And even of like this this time shelf. I was talking to someone about this the other day. These cipher figures in Democratic politics tend to be popular. They're like at first and unpopular during the end of their second term if they make that, or the end of the first term if they don't make that. Then they become weirdly remembered well, like 4 to 5 years later, and then like 12 years later, we all hate them because we realize that they didn't do policies we needed done, and that really mattered, a generation and a half later. So there's this weird like guilt nostalgia turning figure with these kinds of characters that you don't see with on the right. And I'm also just like, why aren't there more national Democratic figures? Because I mean, if we had to go with the national Democratic figures, you got 2 governors, one's a millionaire and the other's Gavin Newsom, who's probably also a millionaire. So it feels like, despite being in power, nominally anyway, and having Congress for the first half of the term, that they didn't promote anybody but the squad, and they weren't integrated, and they also weirdly saw their fate on the Biden side of things, which is, I don't know if that what that was about exactly, but it does feel like whatever the Democratic Party is moving leftward seems to be the statistical least likely option.
Well, look, we've been going for quite a while now. Before, as somebody said, Cuba sent a drone strike on Varn's internet. Pascal is going to come through the screen on a few people's screens, like the movie The Ring, somebody alluded to. They said, is Pascal getting closer and closer? He's like, yes, he watched The Ring the other day, and he wants to scare you to think that he's coming through. He's going to eat your soul. That being said, I want to continue some of this conversation. I do want to show Derek Varn some Alexis Tyler videos and then do Kamala Harris Alexis Tyler impersonations with Derek Varn while he cracks up and drinks caffeine-free Coca-Cola.
Caffeine-free. What are you on, man?
He's like, what do I look like? A Democrat?
Democrat or Mormon? Like, come on. This is full caffeine. It's just not full sugar. It's full of other poison.
Jesse says, can we get Pascal to say 7 days?
Pascal, what?
It's the movie The Ring, where the little girl comes to the TV and then kills you in 7 days.
Oh, man. I was going to ask you to make sure you send me that document for the podcast.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Again, Pascal and I are going to be guests on the Pod Damn America. Wait, am I saying the right one?
Yeah, I think you are.
Okay, because I don't want to say the wrong one.
You're not going on Pod Save America.
That's the one that's the wrong one. Because hey, I am going to be on a radio station in Canada on Friday morning.
Where in Canada?
Winnipeg. They want to talk to me about my writing.
That's what happens when you actually finish a book, unlike me, who just talks about writing a book for 4 years.
Last I checked, I spoke with the people that are publishing your book, and they're very excited about it. So you need to shut your dirty mouth.
Yeah. They have 5 partial chapters. But anyway,
I'm writing a book with Alex Herbert, and he got so pissed at me he just stopped.
Oh, that's happened too. I was right. So the last person I was writing a book with before Shallon Van Tyne on the Lash book, which is being postponed for her to finish her dissertation for the last 2 years, was with Michael Rettenwald. And I don't know if you guys know who Michael Rettenwald is.
I do know that name.
He was a Marxist, but he became the leader of the von Mises caucus of the Libertarian Party, and did this whole anti-woke professor thing in 2016. Became a Trump supporter. Wrote a book called Springtime for Snowflakes, and denounced us all, threatened to sue his former leftists. Yeah, so that book is never gonna see the light of day. So I'm with you. Apparently, the last person I decided to write a book with before Shallon was decided to become a flaming reactionary. So it happens, I guess.
It happens. And
good character call.
Yeah, for real.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. We'll be going in the Champagne Room. If you want to join us in the Champagne Room, it's very easy. Become a patron, or you can be a paid member on YouTube. And for as little as $3 a month or $30 for the year, it can all be yours. Patreon.com/BitterLakePresents, or sign up to that little thing where you're a paid member of YouTube, and then bam, you get Champagne Room access. So give me a second to give the YouTube members the Champagne Room access. The patrons already have it. Derek, are you going to join me for a little bit? So we can
I'll join. Yeah,
I really want to work on this new Kamala Harris, Alexis Tyler character.
Boy.
Tucson, are you ready for that?
No. Me officially being not ready for that.
Pascal,
I don't know what the fuck y'all guys are talking about. I really don't.
So do you know what that means, Derek? You know what that means, Derek? I get to show you an Alexis Tyler video.
Okay. I feel like this must be because I'm too melanatedly challenged to understand what we're talking
and
about.
you know what? White
Am I too
people
old?
No, it's one of those things that might have slipped through. Pascal didn't know who she was. No one, like a
deep
handful of us knew who she was. And when you find out who she is, it's whenever she speaks, it's like an angel fucking whispering sweet nothings in your ear.
I just figured out who the Hawk Tour girl was, so I have no idea what anything.
Oh, this is so much better. This is going to make you go, why do you people care about this chick when you have grown ass Alexis Tyler yelling out the most insane bullshit I've ever heard in my life? There's one thing she says, Derek, I promise. I'm going to play this clip for you that you are going to want your significant other to say to you. He's like, interesting.
All right.
Now I'm interested.
I'm either interested or horrified. I mean, like I know your sense of humor, Jason.
No, I told someone to say, I said it on air, and I told someone in real life. I was like, if I heard those words uttered, I'd lose my mind.
Okay. Okay.
All right, let's go. Hey, thank you guys for hanging out. Derek Varn is going to go to Twitter while we're putting the links up and just start a fake flame war with me, and I can't wait.
All right, I need to think
to not respond.
What should I say? You know who's good at flame wars? Gene's good at flame wars. I'm actually not good at them. So
Gene is good at starting. You know, maybe Gene makes a fake Derek Varn account and starts it. Maybe. Oh, look, Derek got nuked again. Damn, they're fucking with Derek. All right, on that note, thank you guys. We're out.
Peace.